Hey guys, Ben with No Accent Callers here. In today's video, we're going to be going over what it takes to dominate 2026, whether you're a real estate investor, business owner, whoever you are that you are watching this. It's so amazing that in today's world, anything is possible. All you need is an internet connection, a curious mind, and a willingness to fall on your face and eat shit, and you can achieve anything that you want, whether it's, physically in the gym, spiritually with your own development, or financially with business. You have the ability to do anything. And that's the great thing about being a human, especially if you live in the United States, is you can just go and do things. I'm 25 years old, and I'd say I'd run a decent business. And the tools that are accessible to us right now, look, 10 years ago when I was 15, it was unfathomable about how much more information that we have. And it's our job to take this new information, take this new technology to go and be able to do things because it's just out there. There's never been a time in history, there's never been a period ever where all the information, the universe's secrets, business tactics, how to do this, how to do that is just out there. But you need to have a curious mind to be able to go find it. And the number one thing, if you want to go dominate 2026, is be curious and always be testing. Good things don't come to those who maintain the status quo. An example that I will use is newspapers, for example. Back when newspaper was the most popular way of consuming information, there was newspaper routes, people pick up the paper, and then the beautiful thing called the internet was created. And people were like, fuck the internet. We got newspapers. We have everything that we potentially need. And guess what? Those who maintained the status quo, those who didn't open their mind up to new possibilities, well, let's talk about the printing companies. Where are they now? They are nothing. And another more modern example is e commerce. Everything used to be in store, retail, office buildings. That's another example. And now the status quo is e-commerce. There's work from home and all of that stuff. Hopefully you see where I'm going, but the worst thing that you can do is maintain the status quo, is think that you have everything and that this is the correct way, whatever the heck that you are doing, because there's constant evolutions. Everything is evolving at rapid speed. And if you are not curious, if you are not testing, if you are not trying new things, you are going to be left so far behind. Because if you're watching this video, I don't even know who the hell watches these videos. You're probably you probably have more information, you probably have more knowledge, you probably have a better mindset than most people out there who want the end results, which is money, which is power, which is influence, whatever someone wants, because most people are just unaware. But if you're watching this video, you at least are somewhat aware. In your workflow, how can you be thinking, what can I test? What change can I make? How can I continue to improve? Because another thing to go dominate 2026, and I tell this to my team, I tell this to people who ask, is, and it's super cliche, the most important thing is a growth mindset. Because in this world, you really only get paid for how good you are. If you are making 5K a month at your salary job, I hate to break it to you, it's a really tough pill to swallow, but you are only good enough to make 5K versus, a business owner that's stuck at 500K per month. They're only good enough to make 500K per month. So what can you do to go make more money? You just have to become the person, the business owner who is good enough to be able to make it, because the universe has a really weird way of rewarding you and giving you the exact information, the exact experience that you need at the exact right time. Everyone tries to plan for shit. Man plans, God laughs at those plans. The universe gives you exactly what you need in order to build you up to get there. So when you are at a period where you are stuck, when you are at a period where you are trying to get to the next level, but you just don't know how, this is the time to reflect, to reverse engineer, to watch the line that you were playing, but most importantly, to find the inefficiencies and to find the bottleneck in order to get better. Because business life, it's a graph. You have your ups, you have your downs, you have your ups again, then you start back all the way from zero, and it's a continuous thing. But when you're at those periods where you're stuck, you can't get to the next level, you really need to take time to self analyze and figure out what the fuck do I need to do to get better? I need to do my bottleneck analysis. What is that one thing that if I fix that is holding me back? And in order to do this, you need to essentially have a lot of self accountability. You need to have a low ego, because something you especially see within the business community is people will hit numbers 20, 30, 40, 50K a month, 100K per month, 300K per month, $1 million a month, and they will think they are the fucking greatest thing since sliced bread. But I hate to break it to you, in the US, a small business is considered 40 million a year in revenue or below. So you need to be doing $3.3 million of revenue, more than that, in order to be a medium-sized business. And you see the people who are at the top, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, or whoever you look up to, and there's nothing different between them. Hey, maybe some people are smarter than others. Like, for example, Elon Musk is a super genius. You go look at the standard deviation curve, he is far right. But at the end of the day, they are people. If people can get to that level, so can you. But if you're not at that level, there's information out there that you do not know. And if you have an ego and you think you know everything, you get in your own way and you aren't able to proceed. And that's why most people get in their own way. They do not have the sharpness. They have a big ego. They're not committed themselves to learning. They think they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And the only thing that happens is that they just stay the same. They don't make any progression into their goals, and time just goes by. Whether you like it or not, time goes by every single day, and where you are in your life is a direct sum of all the inputs and outputs that you have ever made. I use a poker analogy all the time. Game theory optimal. Playing your poker hand in the most optimal way, because there's either a right way to play it or a wrong way to play it. It's the same thing with our life and our decisions. If you are happy with where you are in your life, you have made more positive EV decisions than negative EV decisions. But if you are not happy with where you are in life and business, you have made more negative decisions than positive ones. And the speed at which you get to your goals is a sum of the decisions that you make. And if you want to get to your goals faster, you need to be making more positive decisions way faster, because no one's perfect at the end of the day. Let's say you're given 100 decisions and you make 60 good ones, 40 bad ones. Guess what? You are plus 20 EV right there. That is progression. But if you keep having a 60-40 split day in and day out, you're doing plus 20, plus 20, plus 20. There's someone out there who is making 90-10 decisions every single day. So while it takes you 2 days to get to 40, they're already 30 points above you every single day. They've doubled you, they've tripled you. And you see within a year or two that you are, maybe you made progression, but this other person has lapped you because they make better decisions, way more frequent, and that controls the speed at which to get to where they are. Because at the end of the day, in life, I said this earlier, you have full control. You control your destiny. Everything falls onto you. And in order to dominate next year, in order to dominate your life, you have to take radical accountability. You need to put your ego down. You need to commit yourself to getting better. Man, sometimes that shit hurts. Getting your ego kicked down. I had one recently with someone on my team. I was not holding myself to the standard, and I got called out for it. And man, did it fucking piss me off. Not because the other person I didn't like, but because I knew they were right. That he saw the low standards that I was operating in, which is why that we were at the position where we wanted to be, and he called me out on it. And it just sucked, but it was needed in order to get better. And those times where you get punched in the face, those times where you're just pondering, like, what the fuck is going on? How can I get to that next level? That is what's required to ascend you. Business is just, how fast can you transcend yourself? Say it again, I will always say, you only get paid for how good you are. And in order to get to the next level, you need to become good enough to get to that next level. How the fuck do you get good to the next level? It's just a sum of all the decisions that you have ever made. And in order to get to that level, you just have to lock in on your choices, because in the transcendence of the next level, in climbing the journey, you're going to have two things on your shoulder. You're going to have stuff that is progressing you. You're going to have the stuff that is pulling you back. And the better that you can get rid of the things that pull you back, the faster you'll get to where you want to be. But here's the thing. Sometimes the things that hold you back are hidden. Friends, family, loved ones, scrolling, drugs, alcohol, your sleep schedule, the gym. You just don't know what it is, but if you find yourself not happy with where you want to be, just know there was something that was causing you to make negative EV decisions. And the most important thing you need to do is you need to have that North Star. Because when you have that North Star, when you have that clarity, when you have that purpose, when you have that mission, making these decisions is so much easier. In the beginning of my journey, and still to this fucking day, it is all about growing the business and becoming good enough to hit the goals, to reach the potential that I know I am capable of. And that means I had to cut off a lot of other things: friends, family, social life. Fuck, even though I hate to admit it, I have been good at the gym, because those were all things that took time away from the number one goal. And it affects people. I remember a conversation that I had with my buddy about 4 months ago, and he was mad that I flaked him when I came into town, because I live in Florida, but I was going back to Chicago. And I told him, dude, it's not because I don't fuck with you. You're my boy. Like, love you to the day I fucking die, but like, I just gotta do what's best for me and my business. And spending 4 hours a day in the middle of the fucking workday hanging out with you is not the best thing in order to reach my goals. And his response was, well, how do you think that makes me feel? You don't want to hang out with me and you don't fuck with me. And I'm like, damn, like, that is the consequence of my action. When you say no to people, when you remove things, it's way easier to remove than to add. It will affect other people. And unfortunately, that is the truth of the world. And these are decisions, these are people that you have to deal with every single fucking day. But when you have that North Star, when you know your purpose, when you know exactly what you need to fucking do, it becomes really easy. You make those decisions better and more frequent, and you make the progress. Sometimes you don't see the results. And the last thing to go into for 2026 is outputs are a distraction. Process is everything. Too many people want the outputs, the money, the results, but they don't want to do the work. And outputs are a distraction because sometimes when we do the right process, we don't win. And I always use this poker analogy, is with poker, you could play game theory optimal. And when you are reviewing your hand after you've played, there's either a right decision you make or wrong decision that you make. But guess what? Sometimes you play the hand exactly how it's supposed to be played mathematically. Like, you literally could not make a better decision. Like, you did everything 100% of what you needed to put yourself in the best position to win. You might have had a 95% chance of winning. But guess what? That one river was the one card, that 5% chance, and you lost. So when we get distracted by outputs, sometimes it means we are looking at the wrong thing. Because imagine if you did everything correctly to put yourself in the best position to win. You could not have made better decisions, but you still lost. That's what we mean by outputs are distraction, and process is everything. We always need to detach and go back to the process, the inputs that we made. And when we just focus on that and doing the right systems, the right process over a long period of time, the outputs will come. It is inevitable. And as I said earlier, if you just want them faster, you just need to be making the best decisions possible at all times. But that's the end of this video. Later.